what should be top of mind for every marketeer out there right now?
So 2 words, it's AI readiness. If you really prepare your data to be AI ready, you are really owning your growth.
What's the risk if you don't do this?
If other players in the market have their data pipes in place better than you have, then you will be behind everyone else.
Now everybody can buy the engine. What is not the same and what is really unique is the fuel. And that could also really be the biggest differentiator to the market and the competitor in the end.
There is a world coming of algorithms, of agents that are all based on tech and data. And if you want to build for that, now is the time.
Over 100 years ago, a young French chemist by the name of Eugène Schuller developed a safer hair dye formula in his small Paris laboratory. He called it L'Oréal. L'Oréal became L'Oréal, now the world's leading beauty company, boasting iconic brands like Lancôme, Kérastase, La Roche-Posay. And what's interesting about L'Oréal is that though it's famed for being a beauty brand, it was actually built on science, experimentation, and innovation. And today, L'Oréal's innovation is coming from a new source altogether. It's being powered by data. When a company's data is understood and integrated and activated, it becomes an incredible platform for growth, particularly in an AI-powered world. I'm joined in conversation today by 2 experts right at the heart of this transformation. Together, we're going to break open a conversation all about data and data strength and how a company needs to build the right foundations to thrive. Max, Franzi, you're so very welcome. And welcome to Dublin.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
It's so good to have you here. Now, Max, Trekken is an agency helping businesses of all different types with different levels of digital maturity, right?
Yes.
And Franzi, you've been working closely with Trekken, I believe, to strengthen your first-party data. But this isn't the first time you guys have worked together, is it? Tell me a little bit about your working relationship.
I guess we know each other for 12 years already.
12 years.
It's probably the 3rd or 4th business relationship we have in terms of different setups of the jobs we had. And I think over time we did build a good piece of trust by fixing technical issues for companies and then having a bit of fun while doing so.
And we met in various constellations, like him on the agency side, me on the corporate side, being together in one corporate together. And always,
you were colleagues?
Yes,
wow,
we were colleagues
so interesting.
as well. So, and then I was really, really happy when I joined L'Oréal to see that they already work with Trekken. So I said, okay, great, because then I know the foundation is there, the trust is there, and I had him back. So that was
So
great.
dream teams back together. So that doesn't actually happen that often. I know we know a lot of people, but to actually get to work closely with someone in and out over the years is really special. Okay, so let's kick off. So you're both incredibly seasoned marketing experts. And I'd love to know, what should be top of mind, do you think, for every marketeer out there right now?
So 2 words, it's AI readiness.
Okay,
so
straight out the gates.
You definitely need to be ready for that. You need to prepare your infrastructure for that. If you really prepare your infrastructure to be AI ready, you are really owning your growth, and you cannot just chase ROI. You can also build a meaningful and trusted relationship through the data with your own systems, but also with your customers.
There's so much to unpack in what you just said. I think you've just set up the entire conversation in that sentence. Max, what would you say?
AI readiness is in everyone's minds at the moment. The only thing I would add to this is data resilience. I think everyone wants to go away from just running behind browser changes, external factors changing, to being really proactive in building a data foundation and building what we would call a data strengths. Right? You want to be ahead of the game.
Be in control, which I think in the wider scheme of things is so important right now, right? Yeah. There's so much change happening. You need to be as in control of it as you can. And I think relevance is an interesting point just to footnote here, because I think we're going to see so much of this as a strategy. Like AI's capabilities allow brands to be more personalized than they've ever been. And I'd say, in the world of beauty, this is probably truer than any other vertical. Yeah. The ability to actually really meet the customer's need and specifically their needs, and that will change. And so I suppose if relevance becomes the goal, then I can see why data is so mission critical.
Yeah, and the question for me is, what is relevance? What's the
let's break that down.
components? What's the components of that? Where even back in the days when programmatic advertising started, we would think about that. And I think a pretty easy schema would be, what's the right person you want to talk to? What's the right channel to look into? Where are they? Where do you meet them? What's the right time? What's the right content? There is a few elements in this that make something more or less relevant.
We're probably entering like an era of hyper-personalization, I would say. And you can see how the tech enables that, but you can also see how creative tech enables that and the ability to speak with literally a different voice to every customer. Franzi, how has your perspective shifted from viewing data internally as a kind of technical byproduct, which I guess it has been for a long time, and now it seems to become this strategic priority or a really important strategic asset for the company? Is that true? What's your perspective on that?
Very true, because it's really an omni-channel topic. We have omni-channel customers, we have a lot of brands, as you know, so very different ways of looking at it. And this real touch point, this 1P data touch point is very rare for us, because actually this really gives us the chance to have a real view on what the customer outside needs. And it needs to be consented, it needs to be high quality, and then you can learn from it. You can have better formulas, you have better connection to the people, you have better products maybe in the end as well. So it's not just a byproduct, it's really a strategic asset. And the good thing is at L'Oréal we have like over 8,000 people trying to make our infrastructure as sophisticated as our formulas to keep that running.
And so that data then allows you to do what?
So first is really to get to know the customer journey, enhance this experience of the customer. Yes, also there might be efficiency and there might be a possibility to get better ways of communication. But this customer journey experience, learning from the customer, plus also really listening and also converting these learnings to products and conversations is the most and really special part.
Max, you see a range of digital maturity, I'm sure, across all of your different clients.
Yes.
And so I want to just flip the question. We're talking about the opportunities with data, but what's the risk if you don't do this, if you don't invest in fixing leaky pipes?
Yeah, I mean, leaky pipes is our picture for like having the data foundation, the data strengths not in place in the first place, right? And it is the basis for everything you do after that. So it has to be right. And leaky pipes comes with probably 2-3 risks or so. First risk is if you don't have the data in place, you can't really see what's the value that your investments are driving to the company. What's the return on marketing invest in the end? Because that's ultimately where we want the users to be in that ecosystem. The second risk is, we said it before, consumer understanding, consumer context. Are we speaking to the right people? Do we have the right audience selected in the tools? If not, because we don't see better through the pipe, it's an issue, right? And the third one is not the internal risk, but the market risk, if you want. If other players in the market have their data pipes in place better than you have, they might be faster, more relevant, more effective, and the distance to them just grows bigger. And that's something we want to avoid.
I love this leaky pipe thing. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna stretch the analogy a little bit. So we sometimes talk about AI being this high-performance machine, and you can't drive or fly a high-performance machine on dirty fuel.
Yeah.
It won't work.
Yeah.
And the data is the fuel. And the pipes, I guess, in your analogy, is the measurement infrastructure, right? So you have all of this data flowing through these measurement pipes to power the AI machine. Franzi, do you think this analogy would help decision makers understand why measurement and data is no longer a back office task?
Yes, absolutely, because the good thing is now everybody can buy the engine. That's also nice because then...
Interesting point.
Yes, yeah. Everybody can buy the engine and it might be the same engine for everyone. But what is not the same and what is really unique is the pipes and the fuel. and this is what you own, and this is your data and your infrastructure. That must be robust, and that could also really be the biggest differentiator to the market and the competitor in the end. And it cannot be copied, because if you do it well, this is a very unique thing that you own and you govern.
And you can understand why data capabilities become such a big part of a company's value, actually, in a broader sense. So data is clearly a central strategy for you, Franzi, and for L'Oreal. And I guess it's not just about capturing that data, it's also got to be about how you manipulate it so it's easy to work with, right? So it's an architecture job, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the moment. Max, let's get practical, because as a former agency person myself, I understand the theory of something is one thing, but then actually bringing a team, a complex client team, through a transformation project is quite another. And there's often organizational friction, right, that exists between, in this case, in the context of marketing and measurement and data, we're probably talking about marketing teams, IT teams, data teams, brand teams, customer success teams. You've got all these different teams, and you've got these silos that exist between those teams. So how, as an agency, do you help clients build, I guess, what you describe as a data warehouse? Right? How do you do that? How do you bridge those gaps?
Yeah. Good question. I think it's a very initial question that everyone needs to get their head around, because you said it, it's an architecture. It needs more than one team, more than one person to get it done. And the reality in some companies is that they don't even know who to talk to.
Yeah.
Who are the architects that need to come into one room to make the full thing happen? So the initial reaction we have with clients is we try to bring everyone into one room. The IT people, the marketing people, the information architecture people, sometimes compliance, right? It's also part of the privacy game nowadays.
Yeah, true.
And then we sit in a room and we don't talk tech in minute one, but we talk business outcome in minute one. What is this project trying to achieve here? What's the positive impact to the business for it? And once we have commitment of everyone that this is a good idea to do, then we start talking tech. What's the things we want to build? How much people do we need to get it done? What's the investment like? And what's a roadmap for when we want this to be achieved?
I think that's such an important point, that strategy still reigns supreme, right? And you need to be very clear on your direction, you need to be really clear on your core, and you need to understand what the AI is serving. Because I think in an AI futuristic world, it's a massive force multiplier and accelerator, but it can also accelerate chaos.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you've got messy infrastructure, you're just going to create a much bigger mess.
Yeah.
And I think as you're saying that, I'm also understanding why measurement and data classically probably sits in a marketing space, but ultimately, if you're the CEO, you need to be close to this.
Yeah, it's a joint conversation. CMO, CTO, CIO, and ultimately, because it even changes business models at some point, the CEO needs to be part of it. So it starts really on a C-level suite, but then we need to drill it down into the people who make it happen.
Because this is a structure play that serves a strategy that drives business outcomes, ultimately. Okay. So in terms of like those silos and unifying people, what tools are around that you can use? Like, do unified tools, I'm thinking in Google's context, Data Manager is a good example of one. Do unified tools help with this?
Yes, absolutely. And Data Manager is a really good example, because ultimately bringing so many people into one room and trying to build a bigger project sometimes feels heavy, sometimes feels not months away, but years away until you see the business impact. And Data Manager is an easy tool to be faster, to have a few people achieve more in less time. So that's really good. Reality still is for larger enterprises that they want to have it in their proper infrastructure. They want to have it in their central data warehouses. But then you can start with Data Manager and build a proper project on the side to include the pipes into whatever is the single source of truth in a big enterprise.
I think it's really helpful to break that down. So as you say, there's easy ways and then there's more complicated ways, right? So could you give us an example of off-the-shelf, easy ways to use maybe built-in AI and then more advanced customized stuff?
Yeah. So I'm reflecting back. We talked about data foundation, data strengths. You want the data collection to be ready, the pipes to be in place. And then you sit on a very good and very comfortable first-party data set. Applying it quickly means applying it somewhere where it can be applied quickly. And that often is in Google Marketing Platform and features that sit within that.
Sure.
Example being demand gen, PMax. It's very easy to get your first-party data running in those and create an immediate business impact in no time. We see clients running up to 30% uplift in performance campaigns just by doing that. So you see the return in no time. If you want to go a step further, because this makes you hungry as an advertiser, you want to go the next level, this is where then data warehouses or data manager come into play. You want to bring more stuff into one place, and you want to build maybe a custom bidding algorithm on top of it. You might want to do propensity modeling to see which are the users that convert better and at higher value. So that's then the next level to work with. We call that applied AI or custom AI solutions. So there's multiple words for this.
And you talked earlier on about it feeling heavy. Like, there's no doubt this is a big transformation piece, but it's encouraging to hear you say there are easier things that you can do that will start to drive immediate impact. And so in the spirit of kind of progress, not perfection, there's a lot to begin with, even if you're not quite ready to get to the custom stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. We also like this approach of being pragmatic and turning around quick first solutions, more or less. This is also where smaller companies and big companies suddenly are on the same stage, because like taking smaller chunks and getting them to work is super easy nowadays.
It's the great leveler.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, we see data reports that say customers who perceive first-party data to power AI, they're seeing like a 30% uplift in performance.
Yes.
These are real gains, like serious gains. Franzi, L'Oreal, you mentioned earlier on, is an omni-channel business, but I just want to pause and just try to capture the magnitude of what you're across here, right? How many brands have you got?
Globally, it's 40, so it's a lot.
So 40 brands,
yes,
right?
4 divisions.
So it's a house of brands, or it's an empire of brands. So you've got all of these brands across markets, across sub-verticals. Like, when you start to think about the number of demographics and audiences, and then you think that, I'm presuming most of those customers are buying the product either in a bricks and mortar store or on a third-party website.
You're right.
Okay.
It's 80%.
80%. You start to get a sense of the magnitude of fragmentation that goes on here. So where do you start? Your data was so fragmented once upon a time. So when you come into this role and you think about the data strength journey you want to go on, what's the first move?
So the first move was really starting with an audit, to be honest, because you need to see where your data sits. So the first-party data is a rare thing. You said it, like 80% is somewhere else with others. So we don't have these unique 1P touch points a lot. So this needs to be 100% clear and 100% clean to use and have a good foundation. So that was really the first thing we did, was a GTM audit, to be honest.
What would that look like, Max? What's a GTM audit? Explain that to me.
A GTM audit is more than just an audit, I would say. For us, it's looking into the tagging, into the foundation of first-party data collection and websites. And as Franzi said, there were like a lot of them at L'Oreal. And what we usually do is we look for blind spots. Is everything tagged that should be tagged? The ones that are tagged, are they up to date, last version of the JavaScript that's running? Do we follow governance, naming convention rules, which
we don't.
We barely do, and it's a common issue. It's also not something where you need to finger point. It happens if you don't treat it like on a very, very regular basis. And then make it consistent, look for compliance issues, make them privacy conform. This is, so to say, the audit to access that, but then also fix it right away, to have the foundation ready.
So my granny used to say something when I was small. She always used to say, measure twice, cut once. Mm-hmm. So I think understanding what you're dealing with is the starting point. So where do you go next then? What's the second step?
So we set up enhanced conversions, because you need to bridge also the signal loss you see, right? And I wanted to also see what is really my own data part. So that was the brave step, because we also had to communicate a lot with Tracking, with Global, with Zone. It's a big corporate, as you said. I'm not alone in my cluster at DACH. So we set up enhanced conversions to really bridge this and see more, and we saw more. That was really helpful.
So this is about recovering lost signals.
True.
Okay, so foundations are in place, then you're starting to recover lost signals, and then what comes next?
So the future will be Google Tag Gateway. This is coming next. We are preparing it at the moment with Tracking. We are nearly there. So I would assume it's 2-3 weeks, and then we are live.
And what do you think that's going to do for you?
I think it will make sure first that I own my data. So this is really the most important thing. It's not a static thing being dependent. It's something I own my data. It's also helping with privacy again. And I think it's the future fit to start and kick off this AI readiness we talked about.
So you have your foundations, you clean out all the junk, the water's flowing clean through the pipes. You come in to recover all the signal loss, you start patching up all the gaps in the pipes. Then you bring in Google Tag Gateway, the new water main line, and the whole house, the whole business now is future-proof and ready to power forward with AI. Have I got that?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Okay. I think going back to the vantage point I have at Google is the gains are just so impressive. So what we're seeing with advertisers on average, across the board, you see kind of 11% more signals, 14% more conversions on average, which is not to be sniffed at in a game of fine margins. Let's talk about the value it drives, the payoff. Franzi, if you were looking back at the last year, what do you think has been your biggest win in the field of data?
So I think the biggest win is these signals that are now there, that I can use this 1P data that is really rare in my company to learn about what the customer really needs.
Okay.
And to really enhance the experience out there. It's not only about efficiency, it's not only about driving ROI, it's really about learning about the customer, listening in this case, and using this data that you really own. It's consented, it's trusted, and then put it into trustworthy AI in the end.
Which will ultimately drive ROI, but you mentioned something really important, like efficiency is the buzzword around AI at the moment, but we have to be honest that efficiency is the floor, right? The ceiling is transformation. It is so much higher. But to get to that level of transformation, innovation, growth, it really comes back to this quality of understanding, of insight and accuracy in your ability to target people with the right thing.
Yeah.
Max, I'm going to guess that you are often prescribing first-party data infrastructure to your patients/clients.
Yes, seems to be our job, yes.
So tell me this, how do you convince them it's an investment worth making?
Yeah, it's about the business case. It's about the commercials in the end, right? You want to have a gain through this. And we usually try to cut it into two pieces. One is the short term. Looking at how you apply first-party data in your campaigns and have an immediate performance uplift through this. It varies in between 10, 15, 30% sometimes, but it is enough to have an immediate impact that people will realize and see it, only short term it makes sense. We usually also pitch for the longer term view and say it's much more than just campaigns. There is a world coming where you want to build your decisions based on long-term tools like marketing mix modeling with Meridian, for example. So you see your investments being allocated in a more effective way in the end. But then also there is a world coming of algorithms, of agents that are all based on tech and data. And if you want to build for that, now is the time.
The framing of short-term, long-term gains makes total sense, but there's something kind of running through what you're saying that's coming out to me, which is loud and clear, is that this isn't really negotiable.
Yeah, no, it isn't.
Like if we're moving towards an agentic future, this is really fundamental, necessary stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's fast pace. Everyone is running for this at the moment. And if you are left behind because you have all these different steps not in place that we talked about earlier, then you will be behind everyone else.
I see also a lot of people running after there is AI, I need to test it, I need to try the tool, I need to whatever. And I always ask, do you have your foundation right? Is everything readable and processable through AI?
So let's talk about that then for the small business, right, that might be listening to this conversation thinking, oh my God, Meridian, MMMs, I'm not there yet, right? It's the holy grail. I want to get to verified truth. I want to get to all of that, but we're not there. What small solutions can you start with?
I think it's a better time than ever, also for small and medium-sized companies, because the investment needed to run systems like this is becoming less and less, also thanks to Google and producing tools that are available for everyone. Still, the system that we propose is the same. Get your tags in place, get enhanced conversion and tag gateway in place to have the foundation, and then find yourself a way to consolidate data in one place. And that can be Data Manager again. It can also be a BigQuery instance in a Google Cloud or somewhere else. And then this builds the foundation again for your use cases that you build on top of it. And it's easy. It's not too expensive to do that. It will pay back.
So I'd love from your perspective, Franzi, what's the value of collaboration? What's the value of bringing in partners to help you go on this journey?
So we really need an outside-in neutral perspective. And you are never, ever neutral because you build it, you owned it, you prepared it, no matter if you're a big corporate or a small company. So someone who really is very neutral and looks at it and says, okay, this is your foundation. This is not clear enough. This is not tagged the right way. We need to clean it up. This is the one thing. But you don't just need someone to tell it. You also need someone to do it. So, and this is the very special occasion in this case, because Tracken is not only just sending over nice reports, they are really helping us with the technical stuff to be done. So we teamed up really as a team, bring everybody together also in the corporate, because it's also not a task I want to have outside. It's something we do together, but you need this technical expertise. You need to know the Google ecosystem. You also need to know your customer well, also these special privacy standards that are really precious for us, and then bring this together and help us to the next level.
And for us, it's a symbiosis, right? And in the end, we bring technical expertise and problem-solving capabilities, but we pair it up with the industry knowledge and with the industry challenges that are out there. And I think together that makes a very powerful set.
There's the objectivity, there's the expertise, and then there's the everybody doing what they do best to get you across the line. That's a really nice view of a good, healthy partnership. Can we then close on top tips? Right, I can't let you out of here with all of your incredible experience between the two of you. Reflecting back on everything you've just said and we've talked about, what would you sum up as your top tips?
So first thing is really renovate before you innovate. That's really clear, because if the foundation is not right, you can have the nicest vision of whatever you want to do with AI or other tools. It's really about the foundation that is clear, that is really privacy ready and AI ready. And then the second thing would be, don't see privacy as an issue. Embrace this privacy topic, because privacy in this case brings consented, high quality data, which is very, very important to build trustworthy AI.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Max, what would you add?
I would add to this by saying break the silos, bring every data pipe into one place, because the product of all of that together is more than the single ones. Yeah? So that's a really neat thing to then build AI solutions on top of it. The last point I want to make is know where you want to go in 6 months, in 12 months, and 18 months. So you have a plan, you have a goal for a business impact, and then you plan your activity according to that. And that's really needed to get everyone sorted and behind you when you want to strive for it.
I love your clarity, and I get great assurance from how sure you both are about the need to go on this journey. You guys are at the cutting edge of this industry in terms of data strength and innovation, and yet your ability to break it down and make it seem easy, which it can be, actually, to begin, is incredibly helpful. to everyone listening, and I'm sure they will appreciate it. So thank you both so much for being with us today. That was such an interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Same here. Thanks for having us.